sitting here with Saralyn and Jeff, whom I actually just met very randomly at a restaurant in Washington, D.C. And we were having really fascinating conversation. Actually, it started because you were eating something really good, and then I think that you guys were eyeing on my plate.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's how it started. So we bonded on food, and Saralyn, do I say your name correctly, by the way? Saralyn came to me, and we were just having kind of, I wouldn't call it small talk conversation, because I think that we went deep right away. Immediately. Yes. And we learned a lot about each other. There are a lot of things that I feel like it's kind of meant to be, because we both love yoga and retreats and meditation, but also mindfulness. And I could tell that our energies are very similar, because they are also very friendly, very approachable, and it just shows, you know? So anyway, when we started having conversations, they asked me a lot of questions, and then it was my turn to ask them questions. And the reason why I wanted to record this video for you guys today and talk to them live and record our conversation is because they didn't have to tell me, but I can tell that they are so in love with each other. And do you mind if I tell their age, your age to my audience? So Saralyn is 30. 30 years older than me. 30 years older than me. So she's turning 60.
Yes.
Oh, and our birthdays are also very close. That's another weird thing. Yes, we're both Virgos. And then your bar mitzvah was on my birthday.
Yes.
So anyway, it's all like very...
Many years before you were born.
Yes. But, and then Jeff, how old are you?
I'm 56. I'll be 57 in
Jeff is 56, turning 57.
But I look older than Saralyn.
Yeah. Also, she's a Virgo, and what are you?
What's that? I'm a Scorpio.
You're Scorpio. Okay. Yeah, but Jeff definitely looks older than Saralyn.
Because I married a smoke show.
Yeah. And I'm just very, how can I say, I admire how in love they are. And personally, I wanted to ask them that question and how they are still keeping the fire going, because I would like for me to also have that, you know, when I'm at their age, like, I don't know how you guys, you know, like, keep that fire up after 30 years of marriage. How are you not sick of each other?
Well, I think that one of the first things we did early on in our relationship, because we grew up in very different communication styles, and we got help. Like when we were we had always had a strong relationship, but we asked for help. Like we went through therapy. How did we communicate better? We learned wonderful things. But I have to say, one of the things that I tell new parents, like the best parenting advice and the best couple advice for me is, we think that we always have to give our kids everything. They have to go to every sport. They have to sign up for everything at every opportunity. But really, all they really want in life is for their parents to be happy. So it's so important to nurture that relationship. And that is really the best gift you can give your children. And that's something that we've always done.
I agree.
What is yours?
Well, what I was saying was having in my mind, it's not black and white, but there are goals and there are learners. And people get stuck. They get stuck in what they know and what they love, and have a learning mindset to grow together. And as a couple to grow together, because you're both going to grow, and you're either going to grow apart or you're going to grow together. So having a mindset of open-minded, trying new things that are outside of your comfort level, but that might be important to your spouse. And we've grown together. We're very fortunate that we both benefited from doing things outside of our comfort zone.
Yeah. But I think that another thing that I can observe is between you guys is when she's speaking, you're really paying attention to her. Even when you're not engaging in the conversation, it shows that great sense of respect that you're showing to her. And that's exactly right. Like, and that's why I'm like fascinated by the dynamic between the two of you. And I'm curious how you. It's not just like how you keep the relationship together, but also how you still manage to have fun.
So that is so funny that you would say that. I'm telling you, we are so connected because what I was going to say also, we call it sparky to keep the spark going. So sometimes Jeff will surprise me, and if he's traveling, I'll go like under my pillow, go to sleep, and there's a note: "I love you, I miss you."
Oh wow!
If he's,
Really?
yes, like
You're too romantic. I love that.
keeping things sparky, doing things for each other. Like when he gets home from work, his coffee for the next day I've already made. Like doing things for each other. Because
How can I find that man?
I know.
You know what happened?
I know. Just knowing like, oh, that's gonna make him happy. I'm gonna do that because he's gonna feel good when he sees that.
See what happens a lot of times is like when you're a new couple, you're into each other and you'll do whatever the other person wants to do, and then people start to shut down. And it's that keeping that mindset of if it's important to you, I want to learn about that. And it's funny because what you'll see is older couples will close down each other, but somebody else suggests something, they're like, oh, I'll try that. Well, why wouldn't you try it with the person you care the most about and who you respect the most? So it's having that mindset of just learning and growing together.
And do you feel like it's the same way? It goes both ways between the two of you equally?
Every once in a while we have to reconnect. You know, we have to. It's not a
So
straight.
how do you deal with conflict? Or have you ever had like arguments with each other? How do you deal with it?
Yes, I will tell you early on in our relationship, like I said, we saw therapists. Because I grew up in a house where when my parents got mad at each other, they stayed married, but they didn't talk. And he grew up in a house where there was he never saw his parents have conflict. So we had to learn how to communicate. Because I knew my way wasn't healthy, and so we knew early on that we wanted to work on it. But we learned some tools that were amazing.
Can you share some of the tools?
Oh yeah, like one thing is, I think if we're both upset, take a time out. Like we have keywords.
Pause.
So we call time out. But it's very important that when you take a time out to like regroup, whether I need to journal or he needs whatever, you need to make a date to talk. You can't say time out and then that's it, not talk. You have to say, okay, I need a time out, but let's regroup at 5 o'clock and let's talk about our day.
So you give yourself a deadline.
Yes.
I'll say a couple things. First of all, the pause between stimulus and response. Always take a pause before, especially if you're upset or angry or freezing, take a pause. The other thing is that even when you're angry at your spouse, when you take that pause, to reassure them, I love you, I need time.
Yeah.
I
I
need
love
time.
that.
But it's to...
So that's your common language.
I have a really good one.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm
Take
sorry.
a pause. Yes.
Okay.
I love that.
Okay. I hope I remember what was I going to say.
Okay, maybe you can continue your thought and then it will come back.
I'd say that pause. And the other thing is just not being a fixer. We all want to fix things. Like a lot of us, I don't want to say we all, but a lot of us, I'm certainly wired to fixing things. And sometimes it's asking, what do you want from me? Like, do you want me to fix it or do you want me to just listen? Because sometimes when you're trying to fix things, it's not helpful. It's
Okay.
just sometimes.
And that reminds me, because that ties into what I wanted to say. Let's say he comes home and he's not in a great mood. He's had a hard day. Our idea is, okay, I'm going to make dinner, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make him feel good, but really all he needs is for me to say, what do you need? We learn that in therapy. Like, what is it that you need from me? And sometimes it's just, I love you, can you give me a hug? I don't have to make dinner. I don't have to try to fix it. So if you just say to the person,
And I think especially for women, like sometimes we share how we are frustrated and all that. It's not to blame the man. It's just like we just want to be listened. We just want to be loved.
exactly.
And you don't want it to be fixed. You just want it to be heard, right? And that's.
So do
Well, I would say I recommend couples therapy long before you need it. Because by the time
so
you
even
need
when
it,
you don't need it.
when you need it, it's too late. I don't want to say it's too late.
I think that we did need it, but we didn't wait until like things were so bad. We just knew that our communication styles were so different. We needed to learn how to communicate in a way that we understood each other.
What I would say is to learn how to communicate with each other and to learn how to diffuse things before they become real.
And how?
And well, that's through communication, and not to suppress things, but to diffuse things, like really.
So when you notice that you're frustrated about something,
Because if you just push it down, it'll eventually come out and not be good.
And something that's really interesting that I learned, and it's my own journey, when I'm upset over something that somebody's done, it's usually something that's bothering me internally about myself. So I think some of that is also learning like about yourself, not just he's wrong, he's to blame, he's this. It's like, wait a minute, what's going on with me? What can I learn about myself? You know what I mean? And I think being a learner, right? Always being open and being a learner.
Growing together.
And let's just face it, it's work, right? Like, we love each other. It's work.
Yeah. So, do you have any kind of, I guess, like, how can I say, when you say that it's work, like how can you balance your logical mind and your emotion at the same time? Because I like from what I can see, you guys are very in love with each other, and that's very admirable. But I know that you said that it's also work. So how do you make sure that it's still romantic and it's not just like being rational?
Right. That's interesting.
To keep it fun.
I mean, the physical part's important. You got to keep it going. Is that? But I just.
Taking time together.
Growing together, taking time. Always get another thing. When you're having kids, just always having a date night. Always making sure you're a couple, not just a spouse raising kids, but making time for each other.
On our phone, it literally said, this was before even phones, on our calendar every Saturday night, he made me put date night. So no matter what, it was on our calendar.
There's also a patience thing. I would say that, look, this is great. We're talking about how good we are or whatever. But you go through tough times, and it's just having the trust and belief that if you have the right relationship and you communicate well, people go through things. When you're going through a hard time, you don't always have the energy to have that. But to have the trust and belief that we'll reconnect, we'll go through a thing.
How about being able to say I'm sorry?
It's funny you mentioned that because it was my very first English 101 essay. When I got to pick the topic I wanted to write, and I wrote about the meaning of saying sorry. Yeah. It was my very first essay in the US. Yeah. And the last so it's SORRY, and the letter Y stand for you love them.
Yes.
So that was like my
It's sometimes it's hard to do, even though you know.
And even if you're right, but I mean it doesn't really matter who's right or who's wrong. But if you love someone,
yes.
Right.
And
as soon as you're in a power struggle, as soon as you're in I'm right, you're wrong, or you have to prove, then you're in a trap. It's a negative
And
trap.
you know what? The plain fact is, I was talking to my sister about this yesterday. Your feelings are your feelings.
Right.
And if I say my feelings are hurt, and somebody says I didn't intentionally do that, but your feelings are your feelings. You know what I mean? And just to say, wow, it doesn't matter if I didn't intend to. Because feelings are hurt. Like that.
identity.
Yeah. Yep. I love that. That's so true. Do you know how much that's helped me in life to understand that? That's
Power
a great
struggles
concept.
they're the death of relationships. When you get in a relationship
somebody's
and
wrong or
somebody
right.
has to, it's a win or lose or right or wrong.
So we don't have to tame our ego.
Right.
Yes. Check the ego at the door.
So I want to ask you this question because I'm a woman, so I relate to a lot of things that you're sharing, about sharing our emotions, communicating with that. But I know for men, a lot of men, it can be men
Right.
to share their emotions. But apparently you're very good at it. So how did you cultivate that?
I don't know how it's cultivated. I had a great role model as a father, and what I would say is get the hell over it, because it's okay to cry. It's okay to be. I feel like the old expression, real men are like, when you can be vulnerable, you get it back 100 times over. And if you're vulnerable and you're with somebody that can't accept vulnerability, you're probably with the wrong person.
That's a very mature realization.
Oh yeah. I totally. And Jeff was always very good at saying to me, like, you know what? He was better at this. He's so much more mature than me. He would
Even when
say,
he's young, maybe that's why you look old.
totally 100%. He would say, you know what? We need a tune-up, like a car, a tune-up. And our therapist used to say, and this is so true, people take better care of their cars. You could take your car in every 6 months for an oil change. You do all of those things. But what do we do for ourselves? Like, we need to do the same for ourselves. We need to go and
If you've got problems, I want to say it's too late, but you do it before you have problems.
he's always like, take care of yourself when you're here, not when you get to here.
Wow. Well, this is really fascinating and very interesting to hear what you guys have gone through together. Do you guys know that they also met on a blind date? Like,
Blind date.
that's amazing. 30 years that you guys have been married.
31 years.
31 years of marriage, 33 years together.
Wow. So do you have any recommendation? Do you have any advice for me, like how I can find, the love of my life, like you said?
Be you.
Be you, because you are
You're a
a
special
beautiful
person.
human being.
Yeah.
And whoever gets you is one, and I'm not just saying it, I don't say it to anybody, but is so lucky. Because you are the whole package, really. I only wish I had a son that was single your age.
Oh wow, you
I
guys,
agree.
Keep doing you, because you're beautiful.
you guys are very kind and very, I don't know, you guys are just really inspiring to me, and I love your energy. Thank you for buying me a glass of wine. I think that my face is probably red like a cooked shrimp right now. But I'm having such a good time with both of you, and I love learning about your journey and your relationship. It's just so inspiring, and I cannot wait to see you guys again. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, and bye guys. We talk to you guys again soon. Saralyn is, I'm sorry, 30 years older than me. 30 years